The mandatory is good.
It's a gym in Oklahoma Boulevard.
Stay tuned for Airguns Detectives.
Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. I'm your host, JC, and today we get to take the mystery out of the brand new JTS Air Strike. And I'll get into this, all the details of this in just a second, but before we get started here, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button down in the corner. It doesn't cost you anything. It's absolutely free, but it really will help support the channel, so I would greatly appreciate that. Also, check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. On that site, I've got the rec scopes, I've got the Generation 2 bipods, I've got hats and t-shirts. I get those of you who shoot the Gammo rifles with the CAT or the SAT trigger. I have the trigger screw kits for them. Best $10 you will ever invest in an air gun. I'm telling you. It'll turn that trigger, those CAT and SAT triggers, into a match style trigger. So check that out. Also, check out my inventory on there. Occasionally I try to put up some of my personal inventory up there so I can rotate it through and then be able to get some new stuff. All right, let's get back to the subject on hand, which is this brand new JTS Air Strike. And what is this? Technically, this is an entry-level PCP. It just may surprise you, though, with all the features on this thing. This is a regulated PCP. It comes with an internal regulator. It comes in both 22 and 25 caliber. We're going to review the 22 caliber today. This has a 200cc air tank. It has a Foster fitting fill on the end here. So if you guys can see this, let me move this back here real quick. So you have a Foster fitting there, and then you also have the gauge on this side. So you're not looking down the barrel to check the gauge. So you can see the air pressure gauge is right there on the side. The beautiful thing though, again, this is a 3,000 PSI fill. So if you're a hand pumper, you could probably hand pump this. This is, as I said, this is a 200cc air tank, so you could hand pump that. Not me, I'm not gonna do it, I'm not young enough, but you definitely could. But I always like the 3,000 PSI fills because it's just, even the compressors, your typical scuba tanks are only 3,000, so anytime you go beyond that, it's a little bit more effort, a little more strain on your compressors as well. This rifle is 41 inches overall. It's got a 19-inch barrel, and this is shrouded with a built-in suppressor. How cool is that? It's a built-in suppressor. The rifle itself weighs 7 pounds. It comes with 2 magazines, and these are my favorite magazines because these are the type that you just load and then spin. Load and spin, load and spin. And if you want to top them off, real easy. You just turn it and drop your pellets in. There's no putting in a pellet backwards, none of that stuff. So these are terrific. They also do come with some spare seals because, again, with a PCP rifle, it's not if it's going to leak, it's when it's going to leak. And, you know, because seals, they just wear out, but they come with a whole bag of spare seals, which is terrific. Comes with a little Allen wrench here, and then you've got your manual as well, your JTS manual, which is pretty cool. So it does come with the 2 magazines. That's, as again, I said, those are the good ones. Does have fiber optic sights, fully adjustable rear sight for windage and elevation. You've got your orange in the front, your green in the back. You also have an adjustable trigger, which is pretty cool, and I'll show you all the details on that. You have a Picatinny rail on top. If you want to put some type of optic, some type of scope mount, you're set up to do that. They're claiming this will shoot in the low 800s, and you're going to get up to about 50 shots per fill, but we're going to check all of that out. Anyway, this is a good looking rifle. It kind of reminds me of the JTS shotguns. They actually make shotguns, but it kind of has that look. It's actually a nice look, that's for sure. But let's go out, let's go test the performance to see how well this thing does. I'm kind of excited about it because, like I said, this is real new. Oh, we'll cover it real quick. This is a side cocking. You just cock it just with the side there, and then these magazines, they slide in really easy, just like that. There's nothing to it. And yes, it can be decocked. You just hold onto the arm, pull the trigger back, and then slide it forward. There you go. All right, now let's go out and test the performance on this, then we'll come back and talk about it. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's test the AirStrike over the chronograph. See what type of velocity we got. What we'll be shooting is the JTS's own dead centers. These are 18.13 grain pellet. We'll just shoot 5 shots over the chrony. We'll see how it averages out. Alrighty. Nice thing is this does, as I said in the beginning, have open sights if you choose to shoot with open sights. Anyway, shot number 1. 799. Shot number 2. This thing's pretty quiet too. Shot number 2. 807. Shot number 3. 819. Shot number 4. 816, and give us one more here. 821. All right, there is your 5 shots over the chronograph. So check out the average foot-pounds of energy and the velocity there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. All right, let's do a little accuracy test with our AirStrike. Again, I'm at our PCP distance here as far as my yard goes. I'm hanging off the cliff here. We managed to get close to 45 yards. I figure that's fair for the PCP rifles. So what we're going to shoot at is these little 4-inch splatter bursts. You guys have seen these before. I love the impact point. We're going to shoot the JTS 18.1 grain pellets, JTS rifle, JTS pellets. Might as well do that. But go ahead and check out our target. You can see we're roughly 45 yards out. Anyway, we're going to go for grouping. Remember, we're going to take 5 shots and we're going to go for grouping. If they all don't hit in the red, we don't care. We want to see how tight a group that is. All right, so let's get started here. Shot number 1. It's funny, from this distance, the red dot is the same diameter as the dot on the target. That's 2. I'm liking this so far. 3. 4. One more, guys. Hopefully we can keep this group together. Oh yeah, you gotta like that. So there's your 5 shots. You guys saw what the grouping is. That's a pretty decent group. It is for this type of distance. It really is. All right, there's your AirStrike accuracy test. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. All right, let's test the pull weight on our AirStrike here. We got our trusty Lyman trigger gauge. Now keep in mind, this does not have an adjustment for weight, but it does have for length of pull. So let's see how we do here. Reset this. All right. £1 pound, 13 ounces. 1 pound, 13 ounces. Sweet little trigger. It really is. Yeah, anytime you can get under a 2-pound trigger in a PCP, I think you're doing really, really well. But again, 1 pound, 13 ounces. Gotta love it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. All right, let's do a little plinking with our AirStrike. We're going to use the same pellets we did in the accuracy and the chrono test. JT's own dead centers, the 18.1 grain. So we are at the same distance that we did the accuracy test at, roughly 45 yards. Go ahead and check that out and see what we're shooting at. We've got the big ram, a little shotgun shell, and a bunch of steel eggs, little eggs. So let's just see how well we can do. Yeah, I got my rec scope here. And let's start with something really small like that shotgun shell. This thing is so accurate. All right, now we're going to start at the far left and work our way right with these eggs. Thing hits good. One more egg. this has some good impact. Remember, we're approaching that 30 foot-pounds of energy. I think it was, what, 28 or something? All right, and then we're gonna shoot our ram. Yeah, you gotta love it. They definitely are not lacking when it comes to accuracy with this rifle, that's for sure. And I love the fact it's a 3,000 PSI fill. Anyway, but there is your accuracy with your airstrike. Tough to beat right there, that's for sure. All right, let's go on to the next segment. We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. All right, let's wrap this up with our conclusion. What did you guys think of the JTS Air Strike? Me personally, I thought the performance was excellent. It really was. But like any review, let's talk about the negatives. Okay, I really don't have any. But I am going to give you something to be aware of if you get this rifle and you want to put optics on it. The way this is set up with the open sights right here, you're limited on what type of scope that you can put on here. I put the rec scope on here, and what was amazing about that is it's got a little peep through at the bottom, so you can still use, with the scope on there, you can use open sights or the scope. It allows that. It's got room for that. So that was pretty trick. But let's just say, and these are available on my website. I still have them if you guys are interested. Get them while you can, because they don't make them anymore. But they work great on this. Okay, so if you were just to pick up an average scope here and try to put this on, it's not going to work because it's going to hit this front sight. And you can unscrew the elevation on this, but this thing is permanently attached to the shroud here, so you're not going to be able to remove this. You're going to have to get really tall scope mounts to try to get that up there, but it's honestly, they don't make mounts that high. So you have to consider the length of the scope. Because see, here's another one. You know, you try to put that on, it's just not going to work. There's just no way. It's not going to work. So what you have to do is be careful on your selection. Just make sure you get a scope that's a little shorter. For instance, this one would work fine on there. So just keep that in mind. You don't want a real long scope. Any of the shorter ones, mid-side ones, they're going to work fine. So even something like that is going to work fine. But myself, I went with the Rex because it already has basically the Picatinny bottom on it. You can throw this on there, and then the great thing is you can use it with the open sights too. You can use the scope actually with the open sight. Let's just take this off here. I don't want to knock that over. Anyway, let's get into the positives because I've got a lot on this, a lot of positives. Okay, first of all, the rifle looks awesome. It feels good, the thing shoulders well. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning, there is a Picatinny rail built in at the bottom of this, so if you want to put a bipod on, you can. Doesn't come with this bipod. I just use this for display purposes, and then I use it out there for the performance. But it's great. You can get any type of bipod that has a Picatinny mount and put it on there, so it comes with that. That's great. This rifle was extremely accurate. You guys saw the accuracy test. I mean, it was. There's no question about it. And I do love the fact that it comes with the open sights, and they're the fiber optic. So if you're the type of guy that likes to shoot open sights, perfect. If you want to get a scope, again, just make sure it's a little shorter, and you can get a scope and mount it right there on the Picatinny rails. I like the trigger on this. You guys saw the trigger broke at 2 pounds. Now, the screw in there it's not adjustment for weight, but it's length of pull. But it's a tremendous trigger, and you really get used to it. You dial that thing into you however you like it personally, and then you go from there. But it worked tremendous. Again, 2 pounds. Another thing that's fantastic about this rifle, it's a 3,000 PSI fill. Again, it's not going to put that extra strain on your compressors. You can still use a conventional scuba tank. You also could do a hand pump if you want. You younger guys can do that. I also like the fact that this had a Foster fitting, so you don't need a probe. What else is the fact that it's quiet, it's backyard friendly, so it does have a built-in suppressor. So think about all those things I just mentioned. Now, one more thing we're going to talk about is the shot count. Also, I'm going to tell you guys ahead of time, I'm going to show you this chart I put together. When you feel this, do not go over the 3,000 PSI. Go right to the 3,000. When I did the chrono test on this, I was a little over the 3,000. That puts a little bit extra pressure on that regulator, so you're not getting the full velocity from the beginning. So when I charted this, I filled it up to exactly 3,000 PSI, and you're going to see the performance here. Check this out. So as far as shots go, with a 3,000 PSI fill, we got 50 regulated shots. That means shots on the regulator. That's 5 magazines worth of shooting. And we averaged 830 feet per second and just a shade under that 28 foot-pounds of energy. So you gotta like it. So we started at 3,000 and then it comes off the regulator at about 1,600 PSI. So that tells me this regulator set right around that 1,600 PSI. And you saw we did a full 60 shots. I just wanted to show you guys the drop in velocity as you do come off the regulator. So this thing is very, very frugal on air. It really is. And again, guys, we were shooting the 18.1 grain dead centers. So those are, 18 grain pellets, a decent 22 caliber pellet. So for only a 200 cc tank, you're getting a lot of shots out of it. Again, so this thing's very frugal on air. So my last extremely positive point on this rifle is the price point. This rifle roughly runs around 270 bucks. And it has a lot to offer for an entry-level PCPs. There's not many of them that are regulated, that have a built-in suppressor and open sights that are ready to go like this, and comes with 2 magazines. So you're getting a lot of rifle at that price point. You really are. So you say entry-level, but this is, I enjoy shooting this. I have some super expensive PCP rifles. I'm telling you, this is in the backyard shooting around, this is every bit as fun. And this sidearm cocking is smooth. It's really smooth and effortless. So you ask yourself, how would I rate this? At this price point, you got to remember, when I'm rating guns, I try to rate them in their category. So within the category of entry-level PCPs, and even, just even a little bit nicer, this is a 5-star rifle. I'm telling you, this is one you're going to want to own. It just has too many positives on it, and it is really fun to shoot. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Airgun Detectives. Don't forget, this is where we take the mystery out of the airgun. Until next time, I hope you and your families are doing well and you're getting plenty of shooting in. So take care, and God bless.